It's a little over a week away before this year known as 2025 comes to a close, and as I collect a cachet of memories and thoughts from the year that has gone by, I think about all of the good and the highlights and magic that took place over this year, and John Christopher and I just recorded a segment for the second to last show of the year, and he's here, and we're going to kind of think about what happened this year.
When I say I'm here, I'm actually in his... You got the neatest studio.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's kind of like mine. It's in the garage. And with mine, you have to step over the cat pan to get to it.
That's it. That's it.
So this is such a cool room. There's just pictures all over the walls and everything. It's just absolutely man cave, or at least his cave.
Well, it's a jazz cave, and it's kind of an homage to all of, which is what I'm going to get into. That's the beauty of this year that's gone by, recollecting all of these memories and things. And there was three things that rise to the top of this list for me this last year that's gone by. The first thing that rises is an improbable run that I started to get my childhood hero, Dwight Gooden, rightfully into the halls of Cooperstown. Now, this isn't directly a jazz event, but it infused and informed so much positivity throughout the year. And there's a picture of Doc up there, and with me with him, and that was such a big thing. I actually got to interview him. What a cool moment.
Yeah, it really was. And considering when you first got into at least a portion of this silly career, people got into this radio broadcasting thing, your interest was as a sportscaster or commentator.
That was it. In the very beginning, I got into sports broadcasting. I kind of opened that door up, and I was like, yeah, I'm good. And I just closed it, and I didn't think that I was going to get back in. And that's what I'm going to get into as I move further down my list script here. Another part of this year that was wonderful, it was a part of flying in a father-daughter duo to Kansas City on International Jazz Day 2025 to see the Count Basie Orchestra. It was a dream. John from Texas and his daughter Tracy from California. He loved Count Basie, and in his heart and soul, he spent his whole life loving this craft, and we found a way through UNESCO to fly him in, and it was all because of a fan letter. They came in, we forged this relationship. I met him in the hotel lobby. That was one of the most special moments of my whole life to see that happen.
Yep. Just warmed the cockles, as we say.
Yes.
That was a wonderful thing. He didn't expect it.
No.
It was just a fan letter to you. Keep up the good work and all of that, like a lot of the fan mail that we get, appreciated.
Yeah.
But to come back like that and just say, hey, you want to see him live? You're like, whoa, you think?
That's it. And it was tricky because he needed to be flown in, and there was a lot of delicacies that needed to go into it, but it all came together. And that following morning when Tracy sent me the picture of him on the airplane, and to see that full circle moment, man, that was special.
Have you heard from him since?
Yes, he actually was in Jam Magazine. There was a recollection in there, and he had a picture of a Labatt's Blue, which is his favorite beer, in his hand, and he was reading that issue, and it was, again, another full circle moment of recollecting a wonderful year that's gone by. So along with that, the resounding thought that I have about Neon Jazz, it's been around for 14 years, and it's how cool this entire ride has been, orchestrating under the guise of being an independently run radio show and interview series, especially in this world of seeing all of these pieces of radio going away because they can't afford it anymore.
Yeah, the and us old guys who at least had been in the broadcasting business for so long have kind of watched the largely because of the digital age and plugging into the bird. Lots of talk shows now being done by retired lawyers. What should I say? The craft has kind of been shoved aside by corporate interests. You know, it's cheaper to just bring them in on the bird and hook up the automation. And as far as what's suffered really is local talent.
Absolutely.
Local coverage and this sort of thing. And it has hurt jazz in that sense, especially in Kansas City, which is a jazz town.
Absolutely. And that's why we've always held interviews in high regard, and that's the thing. It's all about the freedom, and every time I speak with jazz musicians, and it's why I love this craft, they always point out freedom, and I realize over this 14-year tenure that I've learned so much from these jazz musicians that I've been fortunate enough to interview. They've taught me about improv, they've taught me about the temporal nature of music and how it evaporates into the air, and they've taught me what it's like to embrace the love of freedom and then these strange politically charged times of 2025, there's nothing more important than tasting freedom. And I think that's the theme of this year and the plight of this little radio show entering its 15th year in April of 2026. And I'm enormously grateful to my good friend, show engineer, and mentor, John Christopher, for always being there and being the reason and inspiration for me getting back into this broadcast dream that I never thought was going to happen. And I will always eternally be grateful for that.
Yeah, we were sitting having a couple of cups of coffee at a cafe in Grandview. The synchronicity of it was incredible.
Yeah.
It was at that point I find out he lives just a couple of blocks away from me. I had no idea. He was interviewing for his magazine.
Yeah.
The journalist at the time doing some articles. He had heard my radio show, and how had you heard it? Through the belly of a
Radio Shack raccoon that I got at a thrift store, and boom, there was Kansas City, the tune by Wilbur, and there was John Christopher. I emailed him, and bam, we were off and running.
Yep. Decided, hey, let's meet up for coffee somewhere. He wanted to do an article on me, and I was, as it turned out, he was at a cafe where I passed by. All I had to do was, make the exit and hook up, have some coffee, and we talked a little bit. And I discovered it was also an interest of his. We, through the conversation, discovered his interest was in jazz. I have called my show the Neon Beat, and I threw out the idea of, how about neon jazz?
And that was it.
And that was it. Away we went.
And it was a part of the Neon Radio family. And with that, I just want to make sure to thank all of you throughout the year for supporting both Neon Jazz and the Neon Beat. And all of the kind words, everything that culminated to the fact that we began this show in 2011, and 14 years later, we're able to fly in a father and a daughter into Kansas City to see a jazz show. That, to me, is absolutely stellar. It's the reason why we do it.
That was a moment of fruition,
yes,
for sure.
Absolutely. And with that, I want to thank you. We're entering our 15th year. I am always enormously grateful for all the support that I get from all the musicians. I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. We love all of you out there. So thank you for tuning in, and stay tuned. We're just getting started. We get out and see shows throughout the year. I think one of the most monumental shows that I had the chance to see this year was John Christopher finally seeing Marilyn Maye. And we did it in 2018, but for him to be able to have time after the show to talk and to see that show again was special.
And to tell her that I'd been listening to her since I was a teenager. Yes, I was a square back in the 60s when rock and roll was firmly taking off, and a lot of that music was just angry.
Yeah.
You remember the war, the Vietnam War, and the protests and all that stuff going on between about 66 and 67.
Yeah.
In 68. All that area in there. We moved from Nebraska, my family. And we got down here, started listening to Kansas City radio, which played a lot of records, understandably, because she's Kansas City's own. The marvelous Marilyn Maye. And I finally had an opportunity to tell her this last time she performed just recently at the Folly Theater in Kansas City. I told her, every time I hear you, my lovely songbird, I just smile. She says, then I've done my job.
That's it. That's absolutely it. So to cascade from the first show of the year, I caught Jeff Shirley at the Black Dolphin on January 3rd. all the way down to December 21st with Marilyn May. It has been a magical music year. There's been so much that's been monumental about this year. So again, with John Christopher in tow here in our little studio in Lee Summit, Missouri, we want to thank you for tuning in, for being fans, and stay tuned because we got more where that came from.